The Book of Boba Fett. It is finally done. Was it good? We are the Was It Good podcast, and we're going to figure that out. I am Ravi.
I'm Krishna.
And I'm Arjuna.
And we are Was It
Good?
Good?
Wow.
Wait, I didn't think we were doing it.
I know. I keep pausing.
You
Nailed it.
cannot pause.
I
if
know.
we're not
I don't know
gonna
why.
do it.
It's weird. We have a new setup. I'm still figuring things out. I'm confused.
The best part is Krishna started and he was like, and we are
Was it good?
I cut to
I'm in-
Arjuna while Krishna was talking.
Jeez. Got confused in
I'm-
terms of who's who. Oh my goodness.
man.
Guys, it's over, finally. So with that, I can turn the light out here. the show is done.
Was that the entire point of that? So you could just put out the boba light?
Yes, we have this Boba Fett. What is this called? Like a neon sign Boba Fett helmet?
That's called.
It's called a light.
it's called a.
it's
It's
what
called
you
a.
call that.
I am Boba Fett.
It's a night light.
It's
Yeah.
a night light.
A
It's
night
ne-
light.
but
There
it's
you go.
neon.
To help you sleep.
It's a neon light.
Yeah, it helps you sleep at night.
No,
It's
that
for a
makes a
baby.
noise.
And I'm pretty sure you own it. Therefore, you are a baby.
Yeah, Ravi is a baby.
Do you guys know who I,
I agree
am?
with that.
You're Boba Fett.
I'm Boba Fett.
I am Boba Fett.
What's the one thing that you both learned about Boba Fett from the Book of Boba Fett?
I learned definitively that they should not make a show about a character of Boba Fett's stature.
Interesting.
I learned that Boba Fett wants to lead with respect.
Okay,
I don't think I learned that, honestly. I think I was told that, but I never believed it.
that's interesting. It's interesting. I learned that in order to make a show successful and have people actually give a fuck, pull major elements from your popular show and then put them into said new show.
I think ultimately the show proved that not every element and not every character needs a story or needs a tale or a show or a movie
Right.
or whatever.
Let me
And-
ask you. Yeah. Let me ask you guys this though. So, because you're absolutely right, right? I think the show absolutely 100% proved that. Does that make you nervous that they're making an Ahsoka show? They're making, there's all kinds of spin-offs
Right.
rumored and in the works. It makes me a little nervous for that stuff.
Well,
We get a lot of watered down stuff.
I think like the Ahsoka show is different from the Book of Boba Fett because the Book of Boba Fett was always kind of marketed and shown as you've seen this character since episode 5. He's mysterious. He's different. He's edgy. Who is he? And it was it was kind of marketed. I feel like it was marketed as like a explainer of Boba Fett, right? Like who is he? Type thing, as opposed to like the Ahsoka show is very much, continuing the story of Star Wars in terms of like what's happening in the galaxy, as opposed to like this is Ahsoka. Now learn about her.
There's a better premise to a lot of these other shows, right?
Yeah.
Ahsoka with,
Hopefully.
with Thrawn and Ezra, that ultimately already makes it more interesting than Boba, because as we were going into Boba Fett, we're like, what is this story actually going to be about? Like,
Right.
okay, we saw him kill, Bib at the end of Mando season 2, so it's
and then
like,
sit on the throne.
and then we're like, cool, that's interesting, that's different from his character, but they never really did anything with it. At least
They
that
didn't
was-
have like a fully formed idea.
right.
It
that
was kind of like
right. It really felt like
Yeah.
this definitely felt like a show that was the studio was like, hey, we need a Boba Fett show. Go make it. and I think we talked about it throughout the run of the show where, okay, a lot of the elements that made Boba cool were transferred to Din in The Mandalorian. And so we're like, okay, we can't make the same show again.
Yeah.
So we have to fundamentally change Boba Fett.
Right.
And they tried it, and it didn't work. It just wasn't good. And it wasn't, spoiler alert.
Oh man.
yeah. You just
for me.
gave away the whole
Oh,
thing,
boy.
the whole bit.
Just
It's
for
over.
me.
But then, okay, so then let's flip it back to what we actually got. Right, we got, no, it's not an origin tale. It's like a new origin of Boba Fett where he was in the Sarlacc pit. Now he no longer was in the Sarlacc pit. What happens? And they gave us all those elements in that backstory. Granted, all that could have been done in like 2 or 3 fucking flashbacks and call it a day. But then the show, obviously, second half heavily shifted. Right, it's focused to other characters in the galaxy, specifically Din, Grogu, and those last 2 episodes are really just about what's Mando been up to? What's Grogu been up to? Reunite the two, and then also tie it back into the Book of Boba Fett. You know, which is confusing, right? Because we talked about like the Book of Boba Fett didn't feel like Boba Fett's story. It just felt like a weird kind of side mission thing.
I think we talked about this last week or when we were talking about Book of Boba a few weeks ago, but maybe potentially why the show was called Book of Boba was, you know, Boba influenced all these characters. And,
yeah,
and
there was
whatnot,
somebody
right?
that tweeted that out.
Yeah, and so that was potentially part of it. I think ultimately it was just this felt like a show, even though they filmed it all at once, right? And it wasn't being filmed and edited as it's airing. It's not the network television model,
Right.
you know. It honestly felt like a show that they kind of wrote, started filming, and were like, oh, we don't really have a full story here for
Right.
7 episodes. And it's ultimately been, it's like, just cut the show or like cut it down and make it 3 episodes, you know?
But
Or
that's
make
the
it
thing-
a special.
But that's the thing. There was like
I don't know. It just,
they have to put that out early on, right? That it's going to be X amount of episodes. Like we knew that before the show, like IMDb and so forth. Like all
sort
those
of.
people-
It
yeah.
already been filmed and everything.
Yeah.
So it's not like they had to necessarily stick with it. And Disney Plus is also, they varied. Not all, like some of these shows are 8, some of them are 6, some of them
Yeah.
are 7. You know, but the Bad Batch was like 16, right? So it's like there's no hard number, especially because it's streaming. Like they can kind of do whatever they
Yeah, they
want.
can do whatever the hell they want. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's
And-
weird.
And so it's just confusing that they were like, yeah, we need 7 episodes to tell this story. But
Right.
what was this story? And it's like, we'll get into it with the finale, but there felt like there was dialogue that was on the nose of like the entire existence of this show. Cad Bane asking Boba like, hey, what's your angle here?
yeah, kind of
know?
like explaining.
And then at the
everything.
very end where he's like, I don't know if I'm cut out to be a daimyo. I'm like, we just spent an entire show being like, yeah, I'm the daimyo. And then he's like, yeah, I'm good.
Let me ask you guys this: would you have preferred this as a movie? Like, take all the material we got in these 7 episodes, and I feel like if you condense it down, you might maybe get a pretty good movie. Maybe.
Or like a streaming special, right? Like a direct to Disney Plus kind of like 90-minute one-off, I think would have been much more palatable than just 7 weeks of
7
kind of
weeks
like
of shit.
wondering what the hell is going on, really.
I like that 7
Yeah.
weeks of shit.
Just like, I mean, it was just 7 weeks of like, everyone's like, oh yeah, like, it'll get better. And it didn't. It really didn't.
No.
You know what? Actually, I take my answer back about the Ahsoka thing. I'm actually now worried
You should be. You
because
should absolutely be worried.
and I'm not. I'm worried for. I'm worried because what we're doing and what we've been what we've been shown is that in the Mandoverse, let's call it the Mandoverse, right? Because everyone else is calling it the fucking Mandoverse, right? Is we are not going and showcasing a large galaxy. We are hyper focusing on 2 characters, Mando and Grogu, and everyone else's like stories and everything are intertwined with that. It's very kind of like Star Wars has to have a fucking Skywalker in it, otherwise everyone loses their goddamn minds. I think it's the same thing is happening here now with Mando and Grogu, and now I'm concerned that the Ahsoka show is going to be the same formula where it's like, cool, Ahsoka's doing all these things, and then guess what? Mando and Grogu show up. That's
I
concerning.
hope not, because I do think the Ahsoka show's just set up better to, you know, chase the Ezra, the Thrawn type of threads, and maybe potentially do some like new and different and interesting stuff, especially if they go to the, you know, the Outer Rim and kind of deal
outside
with,
the galaxy.
yeah,
right?
outside of
Isn't
the
that-
known
yeah.
Star Wars galaxy, and like especially in live action, it could be really cool and really interesting.
I don't think they have the balls.
I think they do. I think this show just kind of got lost. I think they just didn't know exactly how to make something without what they had done with Mandalorian season 1 and 2. And like we talked about, the most interesting episodes were the ones without Boba Fett, 5 and 6.
Yeah. I mean, those were by far the better episodes.
Right.
I mean, episode 6, definitely better than episode 7.
The finale fell flat by a lot.
Big time. Big time. That last shot where Boba's hanging out with his new friends was like the corniest, stupidest thing ever.
There's so many questions. Like he literally leaves the battle for 20 minutes to go get his Rancor.
Right.
He could have gone his ship.
Yeah.
He literally could have. It's the same area he went to. He could have gotten his ship and destroyed all of them with his ship, but he decides to get a wild animal beast Rancor instead.
Yep.
That is
He didn't
less
wanna-
effective.
He didn't want to. He didn't want to destroy the city that he's defending.
So then he let his
with his
Rancor
ship.
do it
Yeah,
instead.
the
he,
Rancor
he
did
wanted
it.
to. He wanted to destroy it with the Rancor.
Yeah.
instead.
I'm not going to kill you, but my Rancor will.
Yeah, the Rancor will do it for
That's
you.
a pretty good. That's a really good impression.
I am Boba Fett.
Honestly, we know why though the Rancor was there. The whole reason.
Because they needed Danny Trejo, and that was the only
no,
way.
No. Yeah, they needed tacos for the day, right? And donuts.
There you go.
And they're like, Danny, come by with your donuts and your tacos. We got a roll for you. No, the real reason the Rancor was there was so that Grogu could use some Force powers and be adorable and lay next to it, and then some new toys and things could be sold and made. That was it. That was it. That was the whole reason.
Oh yeah, I forgot
100%.
about that. That was so bad.
Because like even now, right? I got served a Disney Plus TikTok ad today,
Oh boy.
and it was just cute shots of Grogu. But what was interesting, they were all shots of Grogu from Book of Boba Fett,
Makes sense.
and that shot of him with the Rancor was like the primary like shot or whatever.
Are you guys angry that they did the
All the time.
Grogu Din reunion here in Book of Boba and not in Mandalorian proper?
Yes. No.
I wouldn't
back
say
to me.
angry. Yeah, I wouldn't say angry, but it does.
Or is it weird like that?
I feel like it lessens. It'll lessen season 3. Like I feel like
Yeah.
that should have happened in just Mandalorian season 3. You know?
Because look,
for sure.
not every Mandalorian fan is going to watch Book of Boba, right? So now,
Right.
like, if you're looking at it just for the lens of Mandalorian, you finish season 2 with this very emotional goodbye between these two characters.
Yeah, now they're
And
back.
now
And
you're going
then-
to open up season 3 and they're back
Right.
together, and then you have to watch the Book of Boba to find out
know-
what happened.
You
Yeah.
know, there are a couple of people we know. One person in particular, I'm not gonna say who it is, that hasn't watched the Book of Boba Fett because they do not believe in like paying all year for the streaming service when all they care about is like Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And they were on the fence about watching Book of Boba.
But now you have to.
Well, that's the thing though. I'm gonna try and convince them.
Who's
not
his
to.
friend?
I will tell you when we're not recording.
Oh,
But like, I'm going to try and convince them, and then get their take when they first see Mando season 3, whenever it comes out.
But I'm so
I'm very
curious. I'm
curious.
curious if they're going to
Previously,
do previously, or if they're going to populate like the Mandalorian page with partial or all of the Book of Boba in there as well. So it's
they
like
could.
Or
kind of
worse.
required viewing, because it is at this point it's required viewing to understand the character arcs,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's major things that
Unfortunately.
happen. But this is the MCU fear, right? If I miss a movie or two, or if I miss this TV show, I won't understand what's going on.
Or
And-
they could just redo it.
Half of
What if retcon Boba?
What if
Boba
half of
Fett?
season 3 of Mandalorian is just like the last 3 episodes of Book of Boba?
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly.
Well, I
They
mean,
might.
your studio execs would be super happy because they're like, we're double dipping.
Ooh, yeah, it's a slightly
We save so
alternate
much
shots.
money.
You know, we add in like a B plot.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised. No, like honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the first episode of Mandalorian season 3 is them apart, and it's like this weird. Because Star Wars loves to do this thing where it's like, you need to know what happened to this character every fucking minute by minute type thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if the first episode is like a weird kind of like back and forth perspective of Grogu and Mando between the time they depart seeing each other up until up until where we see Mando in Book of Boba, because that's like maybe a couple months, a couple weeks or whatever. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did something fucking weird like that, where it's like the immediate what happens like after Mando season 2.
After obviously we're finished with Book of Boba, are you guys nervous now for season 3 of Mandalorian? Because I personally am worried that the just how mediocre Book of Boba was, like some of those maybe those bad habits are going to filter into Mandalorian, and I don't know. I'm nervous now.
Yes. Do you guys remember a little small blip of a movie? It was called Episode 8. Does anyone remember
Great
that
movie.
movie?
Yeah, one
Terrible
of the better
fucking
Star
movie.
Wars
It was
movies.
one of the better Star Wars.
Anyway.
movies. And we've actually had you admit that it's one of the better.
Hold on. Let me finish my point.
Last night, actually.
Let me finish one. Hold on. Let me finish. Star Wars fans have this problem when there's a bad piece of content that comes out or they're very divided. It trickles into fucking up the next thing, which was after episode 8, it was Solo. And we saw a terrible return, or Disney saw terrible returns on investment on that.
Yeah.
I think people are definitely not episode 8 divided on Book of Boba. I think everyone has just universally been like, all right, whatever. It's a
Right.
thing. Everyone's kind of moved on from it.
I think the issue that I have, and I think what shined here is they've done, because of the sequel trilogy, right? You went from JJ to Ryan Johnson, back to JJ. There was no plan.
No cohesion.
There was no cohesion. They've done the opposite with the live action shows. They've been like, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, you are making all of these shows. And I think what you're starting to see is they're spread a little too thin. And that's what I'm worried about with Mando Season 3, with Ahsoka, with everything coming out. Favreau and Filoni, have to give a lot of attention to these shows, right? When Filoni did Episode 6, it was a great episode because Dave Filoni is a master of Star Wars, understands how all those elements work. When Robert Rodriguez, focused more on this show,
right.
it wasn't as good, right? And
It was awful.
It's probably unfair to say like, it's all Robert Rodriguez's fault, right? No. But I do think part of it is now potentially they're not just worrying about Mandalorian; they have to worry about Mandalorian, Book of Boba, Ahsoka, Bad Batch, all the other shows that are coming out that are part of like this Mandalorian universe, that kind of fall under their purview. And you don't even know, like, with Obi-Wan and those other shows that aren't part of the Mando timeline,
Right.
They're probably still like, John, Dave, can you kind of like check in on these shows to make sure they kind of fit that cohesion? Because those guys have kind of become the Feiges of Star Wars.
At least on the Disney Plus side.
Yeah,
for sure,
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm concerned about now, where is there too many threads? Are there too many things? We talked about this on the Marvel side, right, with the MCU and even Phase 4. There was some good stuff. There was some not so good stuff. And is that because there's just too much going on? And how much can one person or a couple people really oversee and put the attention that it needs?
You also have to think, too, like they're doing these projects back to back to back to back.
Burnout
Will definitely happen.
Yeah, and you need time to be.
Right.
We're all creatives. You
Yeah.
need time to be creative, and like think through things and kind of dive into it. Like
You actually need 4 years between projects.
That's a good burn.
As we learned.
That's a
recently.
good burn.
I'll be right back. I just need to go destroy a hard drive.
I'm not gonna lie. I forgot we still have that to look forward to today. I forgot that we were gonna
Do we want to tease it?
Let's tease it. So about 5 years ago,
It was actually 4.
it's 4. So 4.
I put 5.
4 years
Make
ago,
it sound better.
It does, yeah. So 4 years ago, Christian came up with a little script that he wanted to do. I decided that I would take on a role of acting because that's different. And then Arjuna, your job was primarily lighting and then editing and post production on the whole thing. So
He was the cinematographer. Arjuna
And-
did literally everything else.
yeah. So basically, Arjuna was everything else. But Arjuna decided he would need time to get it just right, and it took about 4 years of
It was
post-production
actually
work.
under 4 years. It was filmed at the end of April, first week of May in 2018.
Wow.
And I just want to say,
Wow.
got it in 3+ years.
The new sequel trilogy hadn't finished at that point.
A lot of
Oh,
Game
fun
of
fact?
Thrones hadn't finished.
Yeah, Game of Thrones hadn't
Yeah.
finished.
Another fun fact about that is our producer is also in it, but our producer also built a wall, an
Yeah,
entire
that's right.
wall
Yep.
for that production.
Anyway, what we're trying to get at is we are going to be dropping. It's called The Interview. It's an original piece by
Was
by-
It Good?
By Was It Good. It will be dropping on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wasitgood, probably later this coming week. Definitely check it out when we drop it, and let us know what you think.
Yeah, and there's a couple other supplementary pieces that will go with it. There's a trailer if we want to publish that. There's a commercial that is an extended cut from something within the actual sketch that we can also drop, and
good.
it'll
It's
be
good. It's good stuff.
It's fun.
Yeah. But anyway, I like that. That was a good connection piece with Burnout and everything. But Yeah, Book of Boba Fett. What the fuck?
All right, back to shitting on Book of Boba.
Let's not continue shitting on it. I think a couple of things that were interesting with it. Seeing a live action Cad Bane was pretty cool. I mean,
Is he dead though?
He is dead.
I don't think he is.
I mean, everyone's going on about his heart rate thing on
Yeah.
his armor was still blinking.
Yeah.
I don't honestly, I think, how do I put this nicely with Cad Bane? I don't think it's a big deal if he's dead or if he's not dead.
I think it is though. He's one of the more beloved animated characters. This was his live action debut. People lost their shit seeing him in 6. To just kill him so quickly just feels it feels wrong. It feels like we were cheated. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, here he is. Now he's dead. Bye.
Bye.
And
Yeah.
especially like the way it happened. Like he was kicking Boba's ass.
Yeah.
And then Boba did the thing we'd always been talking about, like, oh, he's going to use his Tusken training to kill someone. And I was like, oh, it's going to be like him versus BK, the Wookiee. And they're going to have a fight. Like he gets his ass kicked in 3 or 2 or 3, right, by him. And so I was like, oh, we're going to have to fight again. And then he'll use the Tusken Raider training to beat him. And he used it on Cad Bane. And it was just like,
You stabbed him right in the chest.
this is stupid. Like, he's Cad Bane. He's a badass. And it should have been Fennec. It should have been Fennec that fought him because they had the epic fight in Bad Batch, right? And Fennec kicked his ass when we knew Cad Bane was the most badass bounty hunter.
That was
Not Boba.
that was a big missed opportunity as well because Fennec and Cad Bane were not in any shots together.
Okay, Fennec just disappears for half the finale because she's running to Mos Eisley.
Why didn't she do that at the beginning?
There's a lot of why didn't they do anything?
Assassinate all the enemies.
Yeah, like she's a known assassin. Why not utilize that skill set right in the
Before the
fucking
shit gets
beginning?
bad?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the fuck.
Plot holes galore. I totally agree with Arjuna on the Cad Bane, you guys on the Cad Bane missed opportunity. Like the first time you see him, right? He's a silhouette coming into the desert.
Amazing.
And then you see him like walking across and he's talking and it is like a powerful presence, right? Like he's like a kind of a terrifying, creepy looking like figure.
Yeah,
He
from the
sounds
desert
creepy,
comes
he
a
looks
stranger.
creepy.
And it's also just an intense sequence because like you have Cobb Vanth, this character who's beloved, and you have his like impending death just walking towards him. And as a viewer, you know, oh my fucking god, that's Cad Bane.
That's fucking
Like
Cad
there's
Bane,
about to be death rained down upon this small town.
So I said it like as soon as we saw him, I was like, they should have introduced Cad Bane in like episode 2, and having him be a consistent antagonist, which is kind of what the show needed, right? Instead of having all this like random stuff happening, having an actual antagonist to Boba for the whole show would have made it a far better show. So huge missed opportunity and
Random stuff.
yeah. Well, I mean that's kind of what was happening, right?
And like also like, and then his characterization made no sense in 7. Like he found out that they killed the Tuskens, and then he told Boba, he's like, I wanted to get you emotional. And I was like, when would Cad ever do that? He just kill him. He doesn't play mind games.
I mean,
Well, with Boba might be the exception for him, right? Since they have crazy
history.
history. He served as a mentor, right, to Boba. So maybe with Boba, he's like the one person where he would be like, yeah, I do want to. It reminds me of in Attack on Titan, right? Levi and who's Levi's like mentor person?
Kenny.
Reinhardt.
Kenny. There we go.
Kenny,
Kind of like that relationship. Kind of like just like that. So.
That's such a good, good connection.
Will say that there was no suspense in that scene for me. I had no idea who that person was or if I should fear them or not because I'd never seen them before or heard of them.
Wait, which part?
he's talking about
Cad Bane.
in
I had
6.
no idea who Cad Bane
You were
was.
just like, cool. Who's this blue guy?
yeah.
with a hat.
From the desert, a stranger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, name of the episode.
An innocent, innocuous stranger who will do no
I
harm.
think that's also again we talked about this for Mando season 2. There, I think it's cool for long-time fans of Star Wars who followed the show, all of these shows that have built on itself. But then it's like, at what point is it too much lore and there's too much to follow, and you're just like, I don't know what any of this means and like why it's important or why it means anything, right? It works for some people, but it doesn't work for everybody. Clearly, just like
that's not
with that Cad Bane
Yeah.
sequence, that's like part of it. You know?
But that's not just like that's not a Star Wars problem. That's
But
just like
it's happening with Star Wars more and more now, right? With like the Ahsoka inclusion in Mando season 2, with a lot of the stuff in the later half of
Yeah.
Book of Boba, you're just getting deeper and deeper cuts, and you're just gonna leave the casual fan behind more. Just like, I don't know, it's just too much. I'm good.
I've never looked
Yeah,
though at
here's
the
a sc-
Disney
here's a
Plus
scenario.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like I've never looked
Yeah.
at the Disney Plus stuff as like casual Star Wars fans.
but that's what Mando like you at least Mando season 1, you
Mhm.
didn't have to know anything to go into that show and watch it and enjoy it. A lot of people did. A lot of people liked it because
Right.
it was the aesthetic is Star Wars, but I didn't need to watch any of the movies, any of the shows.
But
to
nobody's
understand
gonna
what's
go
going
and
on.
like look at the Book of Boba Fett and be like, I'm gonna start here. Like most people
Yeah.
would go back and get the Mando stuff from the season 1, like you said,
Sure.
and not know anything. Again,
But
with,
even
like,
that,
the
but
Cad-
even like
what about Cad Bane?
but right,
But,
but
but
like
that's,
with
let me-
Michael,
that's my
right.
point. The point though is like even with Cad Bane though is you watching it, you still know this is a bad person, and that's all you really need to know at the end of the day. I agree, like especially the final showdown between Cad Bane
And Boba.
and Boba.
You don't
was-
know their history.
You don't know the history,
without watching the
right?
animated
And then the
shows.
emotion isn't as that's where the emotion and everything kind of failed because again you didn't know all that stuff. But they, to Christian's point, if they had put Cad Bane
earlier in the show.
they could have corrected that.
Yep.
So that's really again a fault of the show,
It's
not
bad writing. Yeah.
not a fault of like going into your lore and
Right.
pulling other characters out.
So how would you guys fix this show? Like if
Just what Christian already
that,
said that.
but no, but like would that be what else would you fix?
Oh,
Like,
the
so-
flashbacks, the Tuscan stuff. That is no back to tank flashbacks. Fuck that. That's stupid.
using that as the
dude, like
going back.
episode 1 should have been just flat out start with him exiting the pit. Just start there,
They did.
and then get all the way up to sitting on the throne. At the end of Mando season 2, and that's episode 1. Episode 2 is okay. What am I doing here? There's a whole Pike thing. Introduce Cad Bane, and then kind of go from there. Right? Don't show Grogu. Fuck that. Don't do that. No Luke Skywalker, Deadeye Pan, none of that. Have the Mando stuff, but do not have it as heavy as we saw. He can go and have the Darksaber, but that is like half an episode, and he connects with Boba pretty quick, and
Yeah.
they do their thing, and yeah, that's it. That's how you
would
fix
you
it.
take would you still have the show completely set on Tatooine?
No, move around a bit. Tatooine's boring as fuck. It's a desert, for fuck's sake.
It's just a brown
Some
sepia
giant
tone
Poop.
the whole
thing.
time.
Yeah, I think the best way to fix it, the only way to fix it, in my opinion, is you have to change the character of Boba fundamentally from what we got. Right?
Yes.
I think our biggest gripe with the show is that the Boba we got in the Book of Boba is not the Boba that we fell in love with. The stoic bounty hunter, right, from episode 5. So get more back to that. But again, I guess you guys said that they gave those like attributes to Din. So then you would just be repeating. So that's a problem. Maybe you just don't make the show. That's how you fix it.
Make him the antagonist to Cobb Vanth and have him be the bad guy. That's what I think.
Go
would've
back
been
to being
interesting.
bad, yeah.
Book
Would've
of
been
Jango
interesting.
Or
Fett.
have him be
That's
like
how
an
you fix it.
anti-hero or something.
The Book of Jango Fett?
Yep. That's how you fix it. Just make another spin-off. And that will correct.
The Stephen King approach. Just type more words.
I think that's the.
Oh,
I think like if you are gonna make it, I think what I said and what Christian said with the Cad Bane makes the most sense. Introducing it earlier and then the flashbacks.
Can I? Well, this might be a dumb question. Why in the back to tank flashbacks did they include him as a kid in Camino and seeing the ship fly off?
No idea.
Just to frustrate you.
No.
Just to show that he
fucking
has daddy issues.
idea.
It didn't.
That's it.
No.
Yeah, it didn't do
idea.
anything in
There
the
was
show.
no payoff.
There's no
and the
payoff
other
to a lot
and the
of
other
those
thing
things.
too.
There was no Mace Windu.
There's no Mace Windu, and then
Well, okay, the Mace Windu thing, I was fine not having.
I mean, that's fine. But again, the other thing, like you had said it perfectly,
Cowards.
I think, with because we get a Grogu flashback too, right? And again, I didn't like having Grogu in the show because again, he steals the whole show, And again, I think he's kind of an annoying, stupid character.
Wow.
Wow.
You're a Grogu hater?
I'm not a hater.
Ravi,
I just
you're
think
about-
he's
you're gonna
You
fucking
just
get
said,
canceled.
annoying.
You're
you
gonna get
just
us
said
canceled.
he's a stupid, annoying character.
Yeah, it doesn't mean I hate
You are
him.
going to get us canceled,
He's just
man.
stupid and annoying.
Wow, we should just end the podcast
Dude,
permanently.
wait until he gets to become a teenager before you start shitting on him.
Anyway,
remember
and
when
You
Groot-
hate the
when
lead
Groot
character
comes-
of The
Can I
Mandalorian.
finish my point? Can I finish my point, please? Jesus Christ.
We're just saying.
I'm gonna let you finish.
Anyway, the fact that we had the Boba Fett flashbacks and they didn't account for anything, they were kind of random in terms of seeing Django, and then the fact that we got the flashback of Order 66 at the Jedi Temple. Arjuna had a really cool idea that the two would kind of collide and connect in that Boba would be the one to save Grogu. And the fact, again, that didn't happen, again, makes it kind of feel like there was not a lot of foresight here. That was my
I think they were just like, "Ooh, look, pretty colors, and this looks cool. This is a cool storyboard. Let's shoot it." And then they're like, "Oh fuck, we got it."
There's no reason for it.
I don't think
right?
there was a script. I think there was just storyboards,
Yeah.
and just like
no script, just this fucking storyboard.
yeah, it was just
I don't read the
storyboards.
script.
And then they're
my
just
God.
like, "Oh, okay, now we just got to put it together into a cohesive thing."
We
And
just
they're
gotta
like,
fit it.
"Yeah," they're like, "Sand, it gets everywhere."
Oh my god. Oh my god. No. Speaking
What if
though,
there's a season 2?
there isn't.
There
Oh,
could
please,
be.
God.
No,
This
there-
was called season 1 on Disney Plus.
There isn't. No.
We don't know. There's
I'm
nothing's
just
been
saying, I'm
announced.
saying it no enough that hoping that it never happens.
It could.
You're speaking it into existence, or
Would you
you're
would you
speaking it
watch
into
a season
non-existence.
2?
If it was about Jango Fett, if it was about any other character besides Boba Fett, yes.
I mean, that's possible because this was very not about Boba Fett.
I think I texted this to you guys after I saw the finale. I said I never, as a Star Wars viewer, ever want to see Boba Fett again, and I never want to return to Tatooine ever again.
Too bad, we're getting it in Kenobi.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Damn it.
Kenobi. At least though, Kenobi.
Well, he should leave. Like, at least that's the theory, that he's not going to be staying on Tatooine. The
I
entire
don't
time.
think. I think he is staying on Tatooine the whole time.
Okay, then you're having back-to-back live-action Star Wars shows that it's about exploring space and the galaxy and planets and
Yep.
stars, and you're staying on sand.
What makes you think it's about exploring? They never explore. They just
It's not Star
stay-
Trek,
yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
Okay, well they go
Yeah,
to a bunch
Star
of different
Wars.
space. They go to a bunch of different places, though. The Star Wars traditionally does not just take place at one setting.
But old and very
Have you
established
seen
places.
episode 8? It happens in a really slow chase in space.
But it's still space,
Yeah, it's not Tatooine.
and there's still Canto Bite.
Fuck Canto Bite. Fuck
Don't
that.
bring up Canto Bite.
Fuck Canto Bite.
They also go to the Salt Planet.
Well,
there's a
yeah.
lot.
To finish the really slow chase scene.
There's still some different aesthetics though than just a bunch of fucking sand.
But Book of Boba did leave Tatooine. We did follow Din to a Halo ring and potentially Yavin 4.
I don't think it was yet.
Oh, and his new
Well, that's where the
Camaro.
school is supposedly is Yavin
Well,
4.
in expanded universe, it's on Yavin 4.
Yeah, until somebody says otherwise, I'm going to call it Yavin 4.
I don't think
It's
Yavin
green,
4.
it's blue, it's Yavin 4.
No. Because there's multiple desert planets, as we found out. Jakku looks
Jakku.
just like Tatooine.
Tatooine.
Just a Tatooine
it's
clone.
it's a slight bluer, actually.
God.
But Kenobi, I think,
Kenobi.
the time that Kenobi lands on Tatooine and gives Luke to Uncle Owen. What's his Han's name? Oh my god, I want to say Martha for
Aunt
some
Beru.
reason.
I think it's Aunt Beru.
Aunt Beru. So
Martha.
we're gonna go with Martha.
Martha!
So I think Kenobi is on Tatooine from that point until Luke's like, let's go and get Luke or Han to take us up. And I think what you're gonna see in Kenobi,
I don't think
it's not gonna be just about Kenobi. It's gonna be about Vader as well. And we're gonna sit here and be like, why the fuck did they call it Kenobi?
Well, but here's the thing, right? Because we know Vader's in it.
Right.
They've teased that, Vader and Kenobi are going to have a lightsaber battle.
Right.
That can't logically... I mean, who knows what logic is anymore, but that...
Correct.
How can that happen on Tatooine
I don't know.
when Luke is right there?
No idea.
Like, does that make sense?
Retcon.
I'm asking you, does that make sense?
Okay, well, what about this? Is it tense if the whole time they're fighting, Kenobi is using his force powers to hide Luke, trying to get Vader away. And Vader's actually almost about to find Luke, and Kenobi has to fight him and use his force powers to hide him.
But then hasn't Vader also been
So then you
trying
have
to
a
kill
time
Kenobi
limit.
for all these years? So then, like,
Right.
if he fights him there and then he leaves,
and loses.
but then Kenobi just stays there. Why wouldn't he just come back with more people to kill him?
Maybe he was
Kenobi doesn't
busy
stay.
building the Death Star.
Oh, he could go there for like an hour just to like slit his throat at night.
I'm giving a bold prediction for Kenobi. Arjuna is going
man.
to be super unhappy.
That's not a bold prediction.
I know it's factual.
That's
at this
that's
rate.
going to happen.
Probably.
I'm just there's a lot of logic flaws.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're talking Book of Boba Fett. Let's actually going back to bold predictions. Let's take a quick look back at a couple of our season-long predictions and then our specific bold predictions for the last chapter, Chapter 7. Christian was out of the running for the entire season with his bold prediction that the penultimate Old West showdown between Boba and Cad Bane. Cad Bane will die. Cad will be played by Paul Giamatti. I have no idea who Cad Bane is.
That was me.
That last part was written by Michael, our producer.
Yes.
So Christian was wrong because there was a showdown, but it was done Tuscan style. Can you say Tuscan style?
I don't know.
Tuscan style.
Oh, Tuscan
No,
style.
Tuscan style.
Oh, I like that.
It was in the final
Oh,
episode.
oh.
It was the final episode.
Cat did die.
I had said that Boba's ship will blow up, but again, that was also playing off of like the idea that the show and the writers wanted us to like give a fuck.
No, and the Rancor, that was more important than
Rancor.
using logic.
And then
just
our
blasting them
Arjuna
apart.
had said that Omega will show up. That did not
that
happen.
didn't even come close.
Not even a thought process.
Maybe she was in the background, or they. I don't know what Omega is.
You don't know what
actually.
Omega is? And then for Chapter 7 specifically, Christian had said, Luke and Grogu appear on Tatooine. And right before Boba dies, he'll see his father's killer, Mace Windu, saved Grogu.
I think it was interesting
that
that,
didn't happen.
they showed that X-screen shot with like R2 in it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, Luke is here.
Well, I mean,
On Tatooine.
if Luke was a good Jedi Master and, I don't know, just a good human being, he would have been. But, he thinks too highly of himself to
He was
bother. Yeah, basically, he was being a little baby and
Well,
sulking.
I think also the more likely scenario is if Luke is on Tatooine, and this is probably from a technical standpoint, you have to have CGI face Luke for a lot of sequences there because he's on Tatooine.
Yeah.
He's got to interact with Boba. He's got to interact with a bunch of these characters and pretty much become a staple of the episode. So
Yeah.
it's just easier to, I shipped him away and I was busy.
Well, not only that, though, he would then have to be involved in the conflict as well.
And
so.
then that's just too much of CGI face Luke to probably do for.
So do you think it's more it was a money cost thing, or was it more they didn't want the show Book of Boba to not be about Boba Fett? Oh wait, why would they put Grogu and Mando in it? then?
As we've talked about ad nauseum here, they had no idea what they were doing. I think it honestly came down to like, it's going to be too expensive and it's just not going to look good.
that makes sense, honestly.
More than like than actually thinking through the story.
So Christian, you get 0.3 of a point because Grogu did show up in the last episode. I had said Boba
I'll take it.
dies, Cobb Vanth will get the armor, and Rex will show up in the post credits.
That's an 0-4.
Nothing happened
Oof.
there, but that would have been a far better episode closer or season closer than what we got. Arjuna has said flashback to Boba saving Grogu, and then Boba will die. A common theme between all three of us: someone
will
will die.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no, none of that. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Even remotely like that. Instead, we got what we got.
Just a bizarre finale in
Yeah.
general.
So going into the future, Arjuna pointed out this was called season 1, unfortunately, which leaves the door open for a season 2.
Oh, no.
If a season 2 were to occur,
Yes.
at what point in the Mando history does it take place, or the Mando universe, and what is the point, just the point, of a season 2? Now that he has made Tatooine peaceful again.
I think going to what Michael said, like Boba Fett is a good villain.
Yeah.
Make him a villain and follow. We have examples of television where you follow bad people, and it is an
Name
enjoyable
2
show.
shows.
Breaking Bad.
He did it for family.
you were
He's
to
still a
see
bad
that-
person.
no, he was a terrible person.
No, he wasn't.
All the way through, a terrible person.
If I ever have
The
kids,
Sopranos?
If I ever have kids, I will tell them that Walter White is an angel.
The Wire?
And you will have
Wire-
terrible
Wire is a
It's a
children.
great one.
There's a lot of great shows where you could follow bad people and still root for them.
Dexter
Dexter, right?
is a good person.
Remember
no,
that?
he isn't.
He was getting rid of the criminals and correcting the justice system.
And then the Mel Gibson movie Payback, where he was a bad guy.
I thought you were going to say Passion of the Christ.
Oh no.
Lucifer is also
Wow.
a show that follows a good guy.
Who?
I've never seen that show.
What show?
What I'm trying to say is, Arjuna and Krishna, that good and bad is just perspective.
But I think the door is open enough, and yes, the show wasn't good, but you can easily put him back to being like a bounty hunter or selfish or doing stuff just to.
They'll
do
never
stuff.
do it. They'll never do
Yeah,
it.
I mean, because I think,
Easily?
I think you can undo this show easily. Yeah, because nothing happened.
I mean, you're not wrong.
The
He's not
character,
wrong.
right?
Yeah.
The character literally didn't change from episode 1 to episode 7.
Right.
Like and they never explained how he changed. And I don't think people would be that heartbroken if he went back to what he was before.
Right.
And he has the history
That's
of
what they
doing
want.
that before. So it's like, I think you could do that. And honestly, that's
You know, it's also
probably,
kind of,
the way to do it.
this is kind of weird, but something I just realized. You know what's interesting? We have not done we haven't seen a shot where Boba actually interacts with Grogu.
Correct.
Like, that hasn't happened.
Maybe it's in
Kind of interesting.
his contract that he doesn't want to work with puppets.
Could be. Could be.
Maybe in
Puppet
The
phobia.
Mandalorian season 3 when it's mostly about Boba Fett.
There you go. Bold predictions for the future. Mando season 3 is all about Boba Fett.
No.
Din dies, and Boba Fett has to take over taking care of Grogu.
He's
becomes
the
his
new
new dad.
ruler of Mandalore.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, he gets the dark
clone?
saber.
Which is worse, a foundling or a clone becoming the Mandalore,
Clone.
like the Mandalore?
A clone
I,
foundling.
I think a clone would be for the Mandalorian people. I think
Yeah.
they would look
Yeah.
down more upon the clone
because they hate
than
And
a
technically,
foundling.
Django, who is Mandalorian, was also a foundling.
He's a foundling clone.
Yeah, he's a
Boba.
foundling clone. Yeah.
I actually have a question
Double
for you,
whamming.
expert Fett people here. If
Is that like you said, fat people?
no,
Fat
I said
people?
expert people. But no, my question is, if Grogu is going to actually become the title character Mandalorian who wields the dark saber and takes Mandalore as the Mandalorian Jedi ruler of the new Mandalore, doesn't that mean he has to kill Din?
I mean,
No.
technically,
To get the Darksaber, you'd have
supposedly,
to,
yeah,
yeah.
you're supposed to defeat them in combat.
But
So they're going to become
doesn't
enemies.
Have to be
Yeah,
death.
defeat because that's how he did it with Moff. He defeated him in
He
combat.
didn't kill him,
Right.
so
Right.
he doesn't have to kill him.
Yeah.
But didn't his order consider that somewhat cheating? Like,
No,
No.
the Mandalorians only consider it cheating when
You
in
give
the
it.
in Rebels when Sabine just gave
Right. Which they
Um,
dumped.
yeah,
they
you-
dumped
you
that
have to
info
win
in
it.
episode 5 of
Yeah.
Book of Boba.
when the armorer talks about it. She
Yeah.
just kind of says like that's why Bo-Katan's rule was not super strong or effective.
Have you heard the rumor or the speculation that the armorer was part of Maul's Death Watch?
Yeah, I've seen that part which
Specifically because of her helmet design. Like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
people were like the
There you
horn-
can see kind of like layers, like there's like almost as if they had like the red,
the horns.
yeah, the horns, and then the painting as well.
Yeah.
And then she just covered it all up.
It
with
would
gold.
also explain why she knows so much about like the
Yeah.
history of the Darksaber.
I wonder which character or which it's like one of the ones just flying in the background.
Yeah. And like they do a freeze frame and you're like, you see this third one from the right? That is the
That was her.
armorer.
That's the armorer.
Disney Plus
possible.
announces Armorer spinoff.
So, do we have any actual bold predictions for Boba Fett besides?
I think he'll show up in season 3
Okay,
and
be like, I am Boba Fett.
he'll die.
You. What is it with you dying?
Oh, I just want it to happen.
Oh my god!
Just put him to
Oh,
rest at
man.
this
I
point.
don't think Tamora Morrison would let that happen.
It's fine. He can play.
He
can play
loves
Coat.
being Boba
He can
Fett.
play Rex. He can play all the other
That's
clone
true.
characters. He doesn't have
can
to
play
play
Wrecker.
Boba Fett anymore.
I think he loves it because of the paycheck.
Yeah, they could still pay him to play other clones.
That's true. He was the clones in the great Star Wars Battlefront 2 video game from 2006.
And this was his first time playing Boba Fett, Mando season 2. So it's not
Yeah.
like he's played the character for a super long time.
That's true. That's very true.
Probably wants to play Django again. Do Book of Django.
No.
Django.
don't do Book
I
of
am Django Fett.
I am Django Fett.
No. No.
I think it's that time. We're gonna ask it 2 times over.
Django Fett Unchained.
No.
We're gonna do Was It Good Chapter 7, and then Was It Good Book of Boba Fett Season 1. Krishna, because you are not here, you can go first.
Nice. Ravi,
Oh, thank you.
was Chapter 7 of Book of Boba Fett good?
Chapter 7 of the Book of Boba Fett was not good. Please re-listen to the podcast for why.
Oh my god.
And finally, was the Book of Boba Fett Season 1 good?
The Book of Boba Fett Season 1 was not good.
I'm shocked.
It was a pile of horseshit.
Remember when you said like episode 2 or episode 3 was good?
Yes. I regret that decision.
You should.
I do. Again,
Yeah,
like I
how
said
could
in
you?
another pod where we were just kind of being just looking at our podcast in general and how we do things, we should probably, if a show's not going well, not do it week to week.
It's just
Arjuna,
painful.
was Chapter 7 of the Book of Boba Fett good? And was the Book of Boba Fett Season 1 good?
It's gonna be a no for both.
My
For me, dog.
God.
I'm shocked.
I don't want to say any more.
Wow, I'm more shocked at that. Usually you give us at least a 60-second
All right, here's my
monologue.
preamble. The character design, the helmet was.
Why are we giving him-
just wasn't good enough.
You know what's funny?
I've been muted.
Actually,
I've been muted.
I heard that. Actually, real quick, you bring up helmet design and stuff. So there are a couple. As you guys know, I follow a lot of folks on Instagram that do armor building, and a lot of them were making fun of the quality of armor in this show. Specifically, like some of the shoulder pads, when the light is hitting it, it's almost like see-through. Even the stuff that I have, which is 3D printed, if you hold it to the light, you can't see through it as if it's like solid metal. Beskar. As some idiots think that this armor is, which it is, coated. It's not whatever. That's not the point. Anyway, I guess Lucasfilm, instead of using their own prop makers, hired some independent. And this is all unconfirmed. It's not confirmed. It's just unconfirmed rumors that I've been hearing. But supposedly they hired a cosplayer group in SoCal to build the Boba Fett armor, and not true quote professionals.
Why?
I don't know.
Is it just a Favreau thing? Because
I don't
he's
know.
just I want to do it my way.
Maybe it could be. But this was the armor of Boba Fett is not the same quality that is the Mandalorian armor.
It looks lesser.
I
Yeah.
think it's just
and it has since Mando season 2.
the theme of the show was
Essentially.
cheap and ungood.
It's cheap and unwanted.
Wait, which is how fast can we make this show?
Maybe that could also be it too. It's it was a speed thing. We want to turn it around.
They
so
cut some
quickly.
corners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does feel that. I would have waited another year, if we got a better show.
Yeah.
It was a bet between Filoni and what's his name to see how bad of a show they could make
Jon
and still
Favreau.
Favreau, yeah.
Oh my
see how
God.
good it would.
Well, that's the end of the pod. That's it. We
You
don't
Hey-
need any more pit. Christian, was
You already know.
the Book of Boba
It was
Chapter
not.
7? What was the Chapter 7 called again?
I have no. Who cares?
It was called Poop. It was called
Chapter
Poop.
7, Poop, and the entire series, the Book of Boba Fett, season 1.
Was also poop.
Good.
They were not good for reasons already well documented on this episode of Was It Good? And I really hope they do not do a season 2. And I hope if Boba Fett does appear in Mandalorian season 3, they kill him the second he appears on screen.
Just a dark saber right through his chest.
Yeah.
How confusing would that be? And
So confusing.
They do one of
I'd love
those
it, though.
things where they show the last season first, or the last episode of the season first, and you have to go the entire season seeing this. Oh my God, that'd be so fucking
Walking
annoying.
corpse.
Yeah,
Boba Fett.
I think that's gonna do it for us here on the Was It Good podcast. This was an
Not bad for
interesting
this
one.
edition. Not
Yeah.
bad for this edition of Hungover. Was
Yeah,
it good?
we are clearly all very fucking hungover.
I'm actually not that hungover
well, you're tired, which is a symptom of being hungover,
or sleeping for 6 hours.
which is because you were out drinking
No,
and gallivanting.
I wasn't drinking.
You whore.
Wow.
Whoa! And that's gonna do it for us forever on Was It Good?
If you want to continue hearing this banter and this craziness, follow us on our socials at Twitter. It's at Was It Good on Instagram and TikTok. It's at Was It Good Pod. We put we put the full episodes and some cut downs on our website, which is youtube.com/wasitgood.
Well, that's our YouTube channel. Our website is.
Oh, and our website that we have that has blog posts is wasitgood.info. I'm good at this. Really good at this. We are going to be doing another pod sometime next week. No idea what it's going to be on.
Might be Peacemaker, might be Moonfall, might be something else.
Probably not Moonfall because unfortunately the amount of show times has drastically decreased.
I have a really good idea.
Let's hear it.
Let's all not watch it and then review it.
I mean, we could. Not that hard.
Oh man.
We watch every other Roland Emmerich movie.
I would say we should do like a Peacemaker. But anyway, follow us on the socials
Yeah.
and you'll find out when we do it. With that, that's going to be it for us here. Goodbye.